Longboat Key is a barrier island in the Sarasota area. It is so beautiful. Oh my gosh, it's just a gorgeous, well-kept island. And of course, it's waterfront, both Gulf and Bay. And it tends to be a little bit more quiet than some of our other barrier islands. It doesn't mean that there's no traffic there or anything, but it just has a different vibe than the other ones. So if this sounds like an area that would be of interest to you, then Longboat Key could be a good fit. But there's definitely some things you need to know about what it's like to live in waterfront properties, whether it's a condo or a single family home. And when I say waterfront, it doesn't mean that the property is directly on the water. It could be a couple blocks in. It's still really waterfront in terms of what we need to discuss and the reality of what it's about to buy a property there, some pros and cons. And then I also want to share in this video with you kind of what the going prices are on Longboat Key. So maybe it's a good fit for you, maybe not. Hi, I'm Jill Thomas, and each week I bring videos just like this about the Sarasota area, whether it's real estate, whether it's what it's like to live here, different events, happenings, just to give you a taste of it. So whether you're looking maybe to purchase a property in Florida, or maybe you've got a property to sell, then this could be a good channel for you to follow. So hit the subscribe button, notification bell, all that good stuff. But really what I encourage you to do is if you have questions, please give me a call. Use me as a resource. Call, text, email me. I'm happy to answer your questions because often people aren't 100% sure if they are looking to buy in Florida, what city they're set on yet. So give me a call. Sometimes just a 15, 20, 30-minute conversation can really give you some solid direction for you to decide, yes, this is the area for me, or no, it's not. So I'll shoot straight with you. I'm not going to sugarcoat something. I'm just hoping that you'll buy here. I want you to make a really good decision for yourself. So please reach out to me. People often ask, Jill, what's it like? Like, is it possible for me to buy something that's on the beach or near the beach or walking distance to the beach? And often they will ask right away about Siesta Key because it is in the news all the time. It's one of the top beaches in the world, or definitely in America and even in the world. It's a beautiful, beautiful area. But even though Siesta Key is great, we have other barrier islands that are awesome as well. So that's why I want to share with you Longboat Key. Is it a good fit for you? Let's talk about the location. Number one, location of Longboat Key. So we refer to most of our little islands here as barrier islands because they truly are islands. They're not naturally attached to the mainland, but they're barrier because they just run along the edge of our mainland. So here at the north side, we've got like Anna Maria Island and Holmes Beach, Bradenton Beach. So now in red, we've got Longboat Key. We had a little bit farther south, this little tiny little bit here is St. Armands and Lido Key, Siesta Key. So you can see Longboat Key is very long, but very skinny. Like Siesta's not as long, but it's wider. And then this little bit right here is Casey Key, and then down here is Venice. So we're just going to focus on Longboat Key. Now, Longboat Key is about 10 miles long, and the northern half is actually in Manatee County, and the southern half is in Sarasota County. Now, the dividing line between our two counties is University Parkway. So right here you see the airport. And so if you see the airport, you know that's University right here. So if we come all the way over, then right here is about the dividing line between Sarasota and Manatee County. So in Sarasota County, it's actually about 6 miles, and in Manatee, it's about 4 miles. There are actually only 2 ways to get off and on the island. So here at the north end, if you pick up, this is Cortez Road, hit Bradenton Beach, and then you can come down right here. Or if you want to come from the Sarasota area, from the south end, here's downtown Sarasota, the marina's right here. You go over the Ringling Bridge, go past Bird Key, drive through St. Armands and Lido, and then you come up this way. So that's the only way. And then there's only one road that goes all the way through Gulf of Mexico Drive. So as you can imagine, that's it. That's the main road. The rest is residential, unless, there's a little bit of commercial back in here too. But that's it. So if you need to come or go really fast and we're during season, you're going to have a bit of a drive. So you definitely have to plan in advance for that because that's the only way to get on or off. So as you can imagine, like the property values of some of these places down here at the southern end, because it's so close to the bridge, tend to be, not always, tend to be a little bit higher, especially of properties that are the same age that are, maybe in the middle, just because of that desirability of not having to sit in as much traffic. But I was just on there maybe a week ago, so, May, and it wasn't bad at all. It was it's a beautiful drive. It's so lovely there. We definitely have a good mix of residential, commercial, and of course with the residential, condos, single family homes, villas. So like down here, we've got the Longboat Key Club. There's a gate you have to use to get back in here. There's some restaurants here. There's the dry dock. There's actually a gas station right here. These are single family homes on canals that have access out to the bay and then eventually to the Gulf. So again, you see a lot of, people with boats, because this side is the boating side, or this is not beach access over here. You have to be on the west side to have beach access. So this is where all the sand is. On this side, they're all sea walls. Could you jump in the water? Yeah, probably. But, nobody does. But this is the side if you want to go to the beach. So you need to know if you're living on the Gulf or on the bay side. So we just refer this to the bay side versus the Gulf side. If you live on the bay side, you need to know where the closest beach access point is. So how long, how much walking will it take for you to get to the beach? Because all the condominiums that line up here on the Gulf side, that's deeded beach access. So usually you cannot just show up and walk through their parking lot and go to the beach. Sometimes there are for some condos on the bay side, there could be maybe some shared space, or there's one way, like you can get through, like certain buildings will let residents of other buildings cut through, but otherwise, you can't. So you need to be mindful of what you're allowed to do and what you can't do. Like I said, there is a good mix of a little bit of commercial, mostly residential. Like here's this Harry's Continental Kitchen. It's a little super casual restaurant, and there's like a convenience store here. And then there's also somewhere right in here too, there's some other restaurants like the Lazy Lobster. I think the Shore has a restaurant down there now, up that way. And then right here in the kind of mid-island, mid-key, there's a Publix, there's a bank, CVS. So there's some really basic things, not everything that you would need, but a lot of basic things. So at least you don't always have to leave the island in order to, go get some groceries. There's actually a post office back here, and my mom was a postmaster of the post office on Longboat Key for a good number of years, quite a while ago. She's retired now. But anyway, it's just a beautiful area. So this is Longboat Key, the location, the quick 411 on how to navigate Longboat Key. Number 2, waterfront highs and lows. So just like the tide comes in and out, the water can get higher and lower, so can some of the issues with living in a waterfront property. Of course, it's beautiful. I don't think I need to go on and on about being on the beach or having boating access, things like that. But there's definitely some lows that you need to be aware of before you get too excited about buying a waterfront property. Now, first of all, when I say waterfront property, we're talking about just properties on our barrier islands. In this video, that's how I'm going to define it. So you could still be a couple of blocks in from the water, but you're in a flood zone. Water's all around you. As we talked about in the first point, you have limited access to the island. So that's going to really impact living, of course. So one thing definitely is to make sure how close you are, if you want to be able to get to the beach, how close that is to you. So things like that. But now let's talk about, that's important to people. But now let's jump in though and talk about the really, really important things in regards to being on an island. So first of all, you're going to be in a flood zone anywhere on these barrier islands, and even like west of the trail, a lot of times on the mainland, you're going to be in a flood zone. So there's definitely things that you have to be mindful of because of that. That's definitely going to impact the purchase and how you maintain the property, take care of it. And just because you think, well, I want to be in a condo, I want to be higher up, I'll be on the 10th floor or something like that, or even the 5th floor, Jill, being in a flood zone doesn't matter. The waters aren't going to get that high. There's definitely, though, some extra things you have to know about. So that's why I want to share these with you. Doesn't mean that you can't get a place, but just don't be surprised. I don't want you to get too excited and go too far into the process. And then there's certain things that you realize and you go, oh, I don't know about this now. So it's better to know upfront. The next thing is insurance, especially with being in a flood zone. So in the state of Florida, these insurance carriers are becoming more and more particular about the condition of a property before they write a new policy. And then because you are in a flood zone and you're in a certain zip code, and right now I had an insurance agent tell me that most of the private carriers are not writing new policies for properties in these areas. So this is the 34242 zip code, I believe, or is it? No, that's the 34228 Longboat Key, like 34236. So it could be really hard to get insurance. So you say, okay, Jill, well, if private carriers aren't doing it, how do I get insurance? Well, we have something called citizens insurance here in the state of Florida. It's a type of insurance that's kind of run or backed by the state of Florida. So you can get insurance, but Citizens is still very particular about the condition of the property. So it's got to be up to a certain standard. And then now they also have some new rules where if you're in a flood zone, it doesn't matter if you are in a high-rise condo, it doesn't matter how high up you are, you still have to pay for flood insurance. So those expenses are certainly going up. What I recommend to people, whether they're buying in a flood zone or not, is to talk to an insurance agent sooner than later during the process. And and I recommend that you don't try calling your insurance agent up north. They just don't understand things here. They don't understand things about these zip codes and stuff. It's best if you talk to a local insurance agent, and I've got the names of like 4 of them you can call and talk to if you would like, so you can get a handle on these things. So it's definitely better so you aren't shocked later on the prices or anything like that. So insurance is definitely needs to be at the forefront of the purchase process. The next thing you need to know is if you need to do significant repairs and updates to your property, especially when you're in a flood zone, because we're at the mercy then of a lot of rules dictated by FEMA. And FEMA has something that we call the 50% rule. And this 50% is based on the assessed value of the structure. So when the county assesses your property, it's broken down between land value and then the structure itself. So we have to look at that dollar amount for the structure. And then from there, we calculate 50%, cut it in half, and that is how much work you can do to the property at any one time. And so let's say the assessed value of the structure is, I'm going to say $300,000. So you can do $150,000 worth of work once. And then once all of that's complete and the permits are closed out, then either you wait for the county to reassess the property, which they do every year, or you can pay for an appraisal and submit it to the county so they change the number right away, and then you can do more work. So we're going to assume that instead of the assessed value being at $300,000, it's going to go up, and then so now you can do more than $150,000 worth of work. So you have to do it in phases. So if you hire a contractor, contractors around here know these things and they can help walk you through that and prioritize these updates. But you have to be mindful of that. So you think, well, I'll just buy some cute little old place and I'll fix it up and I'll do this and that, and I'm so handy and everything. That's really good. I'm not saying they can't be done, but there's definitely a way to do it and a way not to do it. So you need to know these things up front. So to wrap up point number 2, you definitely need to count the cost before you consider buying any waterfront property, including on Longboat Key. Number 3, new condo legislation. So just recently in the state of Florida, there is some new legislation that is in place that says that all condominiums in the state of Florida, regardless of being waterfront or not, doesn't have to be in a flood zone, any condominiums that are at least where the buildings are at least 3 levels or taller has to have 2 studies or 2 reports completed by the end of 2024. The first report has to do with the structural integrity of the building, of the main features of the building and of the property. And then the second one has to do with reserves, a reserve study, and that deals with the budget, the finances, and how much money is basically saved and stocked away for known future repairs and updates. Because of course, eventually a roof is going to have to be replaced. Eventually, a swimming pool is going to have to be resurfaced, things like that. So these studies are going to be done. And if I didn't say it yet, they have to be done by the end of 2024. Well, what does that mean to you as a buyer or even a seller? Well, what that means is if there is not enough money in the reserves, or if they find that there are some really important repairs that need to be done to the building or to the property, then there could either be a significant special assessment, or the condo dues could go up significantly. Now, you could be confused by everything I just said, and I understand that because I'm trying to jam it all into just a couple of minutes here. Episode 150, I did a whole video just on this topic. So I'm going to put a link to that below in the description so you can go over there and check that one out as well, so you can be aware of it, because this is really, really important. Now, not a big surprise to anybody, but they already changed some of the legislation because a little bit of it was a little gray, a little wonky. The reality of putting all this stuff into effect, is kind of coming to surface now. So there are already some changes to that. I'm going to have an updated video on this topic here sometime in the near future. I'm actually trying to coordinate with a local real estate attorney here to do a video with him so you can hear from him about these changes. So we'll see if I can pull that one off to get that done for you. But yeah, definitely check out episode 150. Super, super important stuff about this new Florida condo legislation. Okay, just a quick pitch commercial for myself. If you don't already follow me on Facebook or Instagram, I recommend that you do that because I give you some of the sound bites from my videos, a lot of hyper-local information, current statistics on real estate, local happenings, just things you need to know about living in Florida. Even local residents go, oh yeah, this was great. I appreciate you posting that. I forgot about this. I forgot about that. This is good stuff. So links to Facebook and Instagram are below. You can find me, or you can just go on any of the other platforms. Just search Jill Will Sell and you will find me there. Number 4, property values. So now you think, okay, Jill, I kind of like the idea of Longboat Key. I think it's a lovely area. So how much will it cost for me to live there? Good question. I took a look at just the last 90 days and there were 168 sales. On the low end, there was a little tiny condo about 600 square feet that sold for $400,000. And then on the high end, there was a home that sold for $8.4 million. The average sale price is $1.9 million and the median sale price is $1.26 million. So if you're a math person, you understand the difference between average and median, but definitely you're spending between $1 and $2 million for your average decent property there on Longboat Key. In terms of the types of properties, there's everything out there on Longboat Key, from little tiny villas and condos to homes of all shapes and sizes. So in terms of the type of properties, there's everything. And like I've been saying, not everything is waterfront. It's not like every property is going to have a water view at all. So don't assume that just because you're there, you're going to have a spectacular view no matter what the property is. And then, of course, keep in mind that with that like $400,000 properties, the lower price properties, something's being sacrificed: size, condition, view, location. So there's all those different things to keep in mind. You're not going to get a fabulous $500,000 or $600,000 or $800,000 property there on Longboat Key that's all updated, beautiful view. You sink your toes in the beach right away in the sand. Things are going to be sacrificed that lower the price point. And then one other thought too I wanted to mention is rental restrictions. A lot of times people think, well, I want to get a property, rent it out some, use it some. On Longboat Key, there are not a lot of properties that permit short-term rentals. There are a few. There's one, was it like Sand Cay? I think something like that. There's a resort there where you can buy a property and they allow short-term rentals. They have on-site rental management. And then in Sarasota County, the south end, there's less places that permit shorter-term rentals. Sea Place and Beach Place are usually the better ones. And I didn't even look this up prior to doing this. I just decided to throw this in here real quick. I think they have like 1 month minimum. It might be 2 month minimum there. That's the Sarasota County end. But the northern end in Manatee County, there's a few more places that have more liberal rental restrictions. So keep that in mind. You're not just going to find a whole bunch of places that permit weekly rentals there. There are a handful. It's not that they don't exist, but they're just not there in abundance like on Siesta Key. And then finally, number 5, this section's called Key Differences. There's definitely differences between all of our keys or barrier islands, whether it's Anna Maria and Holmes Beach, Bradenton Beach farther north, and we have Longboat Key, Lido Key, Siesta Key, Casey Key, down in Venice, keep going south. All of them have just a different vibe, a different personality. And so Longboat Key definitely stands out because it is just so beautiful, so well manicured. It doesn't have that relaxed, like kind of bohemian old Florida feel like maybe Bradenton Beach does or up into Anna Maria Island. It's just got a different vibe altogether. And you'll see a lot of the properties have gates or guards in order to get in. Not all of them, but quite a few. Now people will ask me, well, why are there so many gates and guards? Is it because of crime or something like that? Nope, it's not that the crime rates are higher there because of that, and that's why they've done it. It's just that's what the residents prefer. That's their peace of mind. For a lot of people, these are second homes, so they appreciate having that security there. So when they leave the state for months on end, that they just feel better knowing that their property is protected. Their investment is secure. So you'll definitely see more of that. But Longboat Key is really just a beautiful area. So there we go, our quick overview, or not so quick overview on Longboat Key. Is it a good fit for you? What do you think? Have you been there before? If anything, it's just really a lovely drive if you have to go, if you do want to go up to Bradenton Beach or Holmes Beach or Anna Maria Island, instead of taking, 41 or driving on the mainland. It's just a lovely, lovely drive. So tell me, what do you think? And what did I forget to mention? Okay, guys, thanks so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Have a great day. Bye-bye.